don't know if the glue that they are putting your eyelashes on is seeping into your brain, but you are an idiot. You just beheaded that guy? You're supposed to give head, not behead. Remember January 6th? That was the day that I had just switched over. I'd been doing eggs with olive oil, and I switched back to real butter that morning. And then I was watching TV, and people were freaking out because a few people with a Lego set or something showed up at the Capitol. Anyway, let's talk about boner pills for a minute, and then we'll move on the other side. Sydney Sweeney bathwater here. That's pretty good. Alrighty, I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is October 9th, 2025. And yes, in just days from now, we are taking the team. We are packing our bags. We're going down under. That's right, Australia. As I mentioned the last couple days, we have released a few extra meet and greet tickets because they sold out so quickly. So if you want to get on those VIP tickets, daverubin.com/events, and we will see you in Australia soon enough. Obviously, I would say today you know what the theme of the show is if you've been paying attention for the last 12 hours or so. It looks like we have, well, it's hard to say peace. It looks like we have an agreement in the Middle East that at the very least can end the current 2-year war and potentially lead to a peace in the future. I am not Pollyannish on these things. I'm not a dreamer. I would consider myself a sort of real world, I'm an optimist, but a real world optimist. And it looks as if finally, after almost 2 years to the day of October 7th, that Israel and Hamas have now signed this deal, that Donald Trump has done basically the unthinkable here, and there is an incredible opportunity, maybe not for joyous end of Phantom Menace, Star Wars, holding up the thing, peace, but at least, hey, we're not going to kill each other for a little while. So let's just recap what's happened over the last 24 hours here. First off, Secretary of State Marco Rubio went up to President Trump during a meeting and told him that they were about to sign the ceasefire.
With all these different departments to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly, so I will take a couple of more questions.
Okay, and let's just continue before I editorialize this from Donald Trump on Truth. I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. So, okay, the agreement has been signed. The hostages will be coming out, and it's still a little bit unclear, I think, as to how many of them. It sounds like 20 of them are probably alive, and remains, I think, of 48. I mean, it's going to be messy and sort of grotesque and everything else, some of the images that we are going to see. But then Israel, at the same time, will move their troops back. They're not going back to the original border with Gaza. There is definitely going to be some sort of either demilitarized zone or buffer or something, but things are actually in the works, and 100% of the credit here goes to Donald Trump. Whether you hate Trump, whether you love Trump, whether you don't care about the Middle East, whether you deeply care about the Middle East, this is the guy who is making the unthinkable, intractable thing come to an end. Bit more from the Daily Wire and what may happen over the next couple days. Trump will be traveling to Israel in the coming days, he told Axios reporter Barak Ravid. The president says he may give a speech in the Knesset as well. Negotiators for Israel and terror group Hamas have huddled in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, for days with mediators to hammer out an agreement on the first phase of the U.S.-backed framework for peace in Gaza and a pathway to Palestinian state. The first phase of the deal will be presented to the Israeli cabinet on Thursday for approval. As part of the first phase, Hamas plans to release the 20 living hostages this weekend, according to the Associated Press. Hamas is responsible for the bodies of 28 dead hostages, though it is unclear whether the terror group can locate and retrieve them. Once the Israeli cabinet approves the agreement, the terror group has 72 hours to return the hostages. A senior White House official told CBS News that the Israeli cabinet would vote on the deal tomorrow. Once they vote yes, Israel has to withdraw to the line, which should take under 24 hours. So the next move here is on Hamas. Release the hostages that are living, release the remains of the hostages who are dead, and then Israel will move back. Again, not to the original border with Gaza, but some sort of agreed new, at least temporary buffer zone or something like that. Let me show you two videos here that really dive into all of the specific points, and then we can kind of whittle away at each one. This is Brian Kilmeade on Fox going through each. There's about 20 points. We'll do a few less of them, but here's the main stuff.
Let's go over it so you have an understanding of what they perhaps framed out over in Cairo, Egypt. War will end immediately. So the fighting that's still continuing, we saw smoke coming out of Gaza, will cease. I don't think that'll be much of a problem. All hostages alive and deceased to be returned within 72 hours. We don't know when the clock actually starts ticking, but let's say Monday, at which time you'll have 20 plus alive and over 50 bodies collected. Right now, that's taking place, we understand, between all the different factions. There are groups that are holding hostages that are not members of Hamas but have the same militant mindset. Israel released 250 people with life sentences. That means more than likely they have killed before. Think about how difficult that is. 1,700 Gazans. Some people have been captured during this fighting. Keep in mind, Yahya Sinwar was one of the people that was exchanged for one hostage last time. He ends up being the architect of the October 7th attack. Thankfully, him and his brother are dead. Hamas members could be given amnesty if they decommission their weapons and agree to give up their rockets. That was the sticking point yesterday. We believe somehow they overcame it.
Okay, so you can see there's a lot of layers here, and that's why I said up top, it's like we none of us should be like over the top. Oh my God, this is true peace. This is all going to be perfect. Blah blah blah. But you should be sober in your positivity. I think that's what it is. It's like this really is it. Like if Hamas keeps up its end of the bargain, Israel is going to withdraw. The hostages will come back. Like, sorry to all of the Arab countries and Muslim countries that wanted to destroy Israel. You didn't get what you wanted. Gaza was destroyed. This all could have ended 2 years ago. But now at least there's the opportunity for new people to come in and think about everything differently. Maybe that's really what it is more than anything else. Donald Trump, by thinking about the Middle East differently, is able to change things. Remember, when he did the Abraham Accords years ago, everyone was like, you got to deal with the Palestinians first. And he was like, let Israel sign deals with these other countries first. And then there was commerce and there was peace with these countries. So the guy who did, again, the thing that was unthinkable, he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, all these things, it's like he deserves a lot of the credit here. Just real quick to recap what he said. So the war, in essence, the hardcore fighting is coming to an end. That's good. Hostage return, that's obviously good. Now, Israel has to give up 250 prisoners with life sentences. These are people who have murdered Jews. They're giving up 250 of them to get their 20 living people back. So that tells you a bit about who values life more. Also 1,700 Gazans who've been arrested as part of during the last 2 years. Hamas amnesty, this is gonna be a weird one because what does that actually mean? Do they get to continue to live in Gaza? Do they get exiled elsewhere, probably to Qatar or Turkey? You know, what happens? Okay, you get some sort of amnesty, but then what if you start killing people again or planning or digging tunnels? So that one sort of, I think you can punt a little bit. And also that Hamas will have no role in the future governance. That seems legit, but the question, and this is always the question with these guys, is who is going to run Gaza? Who's going to run it? There's a couple clans there. Who's going to run it? Is Tony Blair coming in to run it? Because they'll really love him. And can you really make sure that nobody from Hamas is part of it? That seems kind of tricky because also Hamas, it's a little bit like Antifa. Like you don't get the laminated card and everything else. So we'll see about that. Anyway, here's Kilmeade with a bit more.
Hamas will not have any role in the governance of Gaza, we should hope. Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. That's not going to be an issue. The issue was really more the West Bank area where the Palestinian Authority mostly has the authority, but I don't think they're looking to take any Gaza. And I don't think that was much of something to be hurdled. Gaza will be governed by a temporary transition government. This is going to be key. And that government's going to be chaired by a peace council by President Trump. And then there's going to be people like Tony Blair, who's given basically his post-prime minister career to trying to find some way forward on a two-state solution or whatever's possible in the area. The question is, if you see Westerners in that region, we know they were targets when the Iraqi transition was taking place, will they be targets again? And the possible path to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. It's all going to be performance-based.
All right, so first on the Israel will not occupy or annex. Remember, on October 6, 2023, there was not one Israeli in Gaza. They wanted nothing to do with the place. They left in 2005. They called it a disengagement because they realized there's no one to negotiate peace with. How about you guys just leave us alone? And then for 20 years, unfortunately, Hamas dug tunnels, built a war machine, planned October 7th, all of those things. So the fact that Israel is not going to annex or occupy it, well, that just takes you back to October 6th. I think the thing that has fundamentally changed is that they will realize in Gaza, whoever's in charge, you can't be doing the tunnels anymore. You can't be breaking through the fence anymore. You have your territory. Stay there. Stay out of Israeli territory, stop shooting rockets, and then you will have peace. So I think that that's basically just fine. The Gaza transitional government, as I said, like you got to figure out, well, what does that really mean? There's a couple clans there and there's kind of warring factions, which gets you to the board of peace that Trump is going to head and Tony Blair. Like all of that, you have to see if it works, right? And I think the main thing on the ground in Gaza is those people have to, and the problem here is that they have too many Western supporters who will not support them in doing this, but they have to just come to the realization that Israel exists, it's not going anywhere. You 100% can make the argument Israel's actually stronger than ever because its external enemies like Hezbollah and Iran and even the Houthis have been largely destroyed. Hamas is basically destroyed. Like Israel is still there, banged up, slightly annoyed, happy to get their hostages back. But if the people on the ground are just like, oh, we have America behind us now, we're going to have all of this money poured in, we're on the same beach, as I always say, the same beach just miles south of the Tel Aviv beach, which is one of the most beautiful beaches on the face of the earth. Like, and you will have all of the focus of the world. If you want to build a truly civil, decent, non-radical Islamist society, you will have every opportunity. There is every reason to think if you guys actually make that decision, and again, it's hard to imagine that they will, but if you guys actually make that decision, you could have one of the most prosperous places in all of the world. And I actually literally mean that because there will be so much money, so much focus, so many people that will want to travel there and be part of this new thing, so many business opportunities and all those things. So that will be their chance. Here's an image of the hostages. Now it's, again, 20 supposedly are living, and they definitely do not look like they are in the condition that they were in those pictures, and probably 48 that they're going to get remains back. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But again, all of the credit, it cannot be overstated, belongs to Donald Trump. Donald Trump, a master negotiator. Donald Trump, who believes in peace through strength. Donald Trump, who, unlike Joe Biden, although not that Joe Biden was in charge, but Joe Biden was hampering Israel along the way. Donald Trump said peace through strength. You exert maximum leverage. You're dealing with crazy jihadists. They kind of only respond to one thing. And over the last couple months, how many times did Donald Trump basically say, Hamas, enough snuff, all of the hostages now? And then finally, we got there, but it was also because of what Donald Trump did, what was that, about 6-7 months ago when he went to Saudi Arabia and he said to all of these countries, we're not going to tell you how to live, but if you want to be part of America, meaning if you want to be a partner with us where we can share in success and you'll get security guarantees and all sorts of stuff, then get on board. And that, I think, by America leading, has created the conditions that the Arab countries are now getting on board Trump's vision for the world. Take a look.
A lot of the Arab nations that have formed coalitions with you were reluctant and resistant for decades to ever be a part of the solution. That was a big part of what happened here today. Can you explain that part of it?
Well, I develop relationships with people, and sometimes those relationships lead to great things, and in the case of many of the Arab nations, the wealthiest nations in the world, if you look, although with what we've done in the United States, I think we top everybody by a.
And that's why when Trump went to Saudi Arabia and there were so many people like, he shouldn't be talking to these guys, or even Qatar, who's funded a lot of this and they fund Al Jazeera and all of these things, I was kind of like, yeah, you've got to reach out to these guys because you can start creating conditions where they're like, you know what? We don't want to be in perpetual war. This does, even Qatar, right? Like, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, Israel tried to take out the Hamas leadership in Qatar. It partially worked, partly didn't. But then suddenly the Qataris were like, boy, the Israelis could bomb us too because we're housing these guys. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. So everyone just has to realize all you've got to do, it ain't rocket science. I know it's probably tougher because there's religious connotations around it. But all you've got to do is just say, hey, the Jews have the little sliver. It's okay. We don't have to love them, but let's not try to constantly exterminate them. Here's Ari Fleischer, who, of course, worked in the George W. Bush administration, which did a lot of strange things, let's say, in the Middle East. And here he is explaining how this is way bigger than just Israel and Gaza, but it gets to all of these Arab Muslim nations. And it's, again, it's thanks to American leadership.
Well, what's truly remarkable about this is previous breakthroughs existed between Israel and unique nations, Israel and Egypt, Israel and Jordan. Then you had the Abraham Accords expanding it to a wider group of nations, Bahrain, the UAE. But never before have you had an agreement with Hamas, 8 Muslim nations, 7 Arab, 1 nation, Turkey, Muslim nation, Israel, and the United States. That is the breakthrough here. From a humane point of view, it is wonderful and joyous that the hostages will come home. Families can finally, at long last, be reunited. But there are 2 big steps that remain, and those steps are the disarmament of Hamas and Hamas relinquishing control and power. Those 2 are going to be the trickiest ones yet.
I like Ari Fleischer. I've always liked him. And that sort of sobering answer, right? He's not like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. It's automatically going to work. Everything's wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Like, I get the inclination why people want to fully feel that right now. And again, I think this is unbelievably positive. But what he's saying there, it's sobering. And there's also, like, think about the levels of emotions that are going to be happening on the ground there over the next little bit. You know, people that are going to get their family members back, husbands, children, all of these things that, you know, fathers that are going to come home looking like Holocaust survivors, the people who are going to have to identify rotting carcasses. Like, it's actually unimaginable, like, in some sense, Holocaust level stuff. And of course, yes, there is also devastation because of what Hamas did. There's devastation in Gaza that they're going to have to deal with. And there's going to have to be a massive cleanup job and everything else. And then the real work of the Trump peace board gets going, because can the people there, will they be willing to have Donald Trump as the head of a peace commission with Tony Blair and everybody else and abide by a new way of looking at the world? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But the point is, everyone should be positive right now. You've got to be positive. Like, I know it's so much easier to be negative all the time, but you've got to be positive right now, unlike Jake Tapper.
Obviously, blessed are the peacemakers indeed, but it is worth pointing out, this is a ceasefire deal, right? This is not a larger peace deal about a Palestinian state of any sort and who gets to rule a Palestinian state, and Israel gets security guarantees, how, and all that. That is still TBD, right?
I mean, yes, but, because the yes, but part of that is that, yes, this is the first phase of this deal where the 2 key parts of that was a ceasefire and the release of the hostages, and also the release of Palestinian prisoners that are being held in Israel.
Jake, how about a little imagination? How about a little positivity right now? First off, the deal does address some of those things, including statehood, which sounds completely insane to me, but putting that aside, like, how about a little imagination? How about yes, but, oh, I'm sorry, we're not getting everything on day one? You mean we're not getting the hostages back and the like ultimate prize that most people seem to want? We're not getting every single thing at once. Things are done incrementally, right? That's how it works. So I put up a tweet that went pretty viral this morning that I think explains where everyone should be at quite well, if I pat myself on the back for just a moment, if you can bear with me. Today and in the coming days, we'll offer a rare glimpse into who people really are. Everyone, and I mean literally everyone, should be happy and hopeful right now. If you're pro-Israel, the hostages are coming home and you can get your troops out of Gaza. Your external enemies, Hezbollah, Iran, etc., found out the hard way that Israel is here to stay. If you're pro-Palestinian, the genocide, use of quotes, is over and you can begin rebuilding. You should be passing out candy on the streets in celebration. If you're for a strong America that leads the world, look what American leadership can still accomplish. If you're libertarian or anti-war, another war is coming to a close. Some people are a combination of these things and thus will have many reasons to be happy. Some people just don't care at all about any of this and they can just continue with blissful ignorance. While we obviously have to wait and see if the next few days work out as planned, there is reason for hope and we should all be aiming towards that. Everyone should take note about the reactions from politicians, influencers, your friends and family today. This is a unique moment to see fully what has been driving people and what they really want. While I have little to no hope for the progressive jihadist wing to be reeled in, I do have some hope for those on the right who have gone off the deep end and can come back. Donald Trump is on the verge of doing the unthinkable, and we should be all amazed and thankful for that. If you can't see that, or you don't want to give it a chance, you aren't America first or even just pro-America. So let's see how many people are truly awake today, and if they can get a little closer to peace in the Middle East, maybe we can heal some old wounds right here at home too. Blessed are the peacemakers. And again, dare I say, like that gets it basically, that's got a little something for everybody. If you are 100% pro-Israel, you're getting your citizens back. They've lost 900 young soldiers, right? These are basically all 25-year-old men in these 2 years. You're not going to have to do that anymore. And then you can work on healing, right? If you're pro-Palestinian and you were screaming about a genocide, even though it wasn't a genocide, you should be thrilled today. It is ending. It is ending, right? You could have ended it a lot earlier, but it is ending. If you're anti-war, we're going to have less war. If you're pro-America in that you want America to lead a strong world, then it's a win. So the strange part is that a certain set of people are not going to be for this. Now, one of them, who's actually sane, is John Fetterman. This is from Ian Yeager on X. Breaking Senator John Fetterman becomes the first Democrat to congratulate President Trump on the first stage of his peace plan with Hamas and Israel. I congratulate President Trump on this historic peace plan that releases all hostages. Now enduring peace in the region is possible. So that is great. And as I have said many times, it's kind of funny that a guy with brain damage has turned out to be the most sane Democrat. But we checked right before the show. There are no tweets right now about this from Rashida Tlaib. Now, Rashida Tlaib, who is Palestinian, who's running her little Palestine in Dearborn, Michigan, the genocide, her purported genocide, is coming to a close. Shouldn't she be in all caps saying, hallelujah, this has gone on too long, thank God? Shouldn't she be thanking Donald Trump, saying, my God, this is incredible that this is finally ending? But nothing from Rashida Tlaib. Nothing from AOC. Joseph just checked this before we started the show. Nothing from Chuck Schumer, nothing from Cory Booker, nothing from Hakeem Jeffries, nothing from Ro Khanna, nothing from Bernie Sanders. And then on the right, and this is where I think things can be healed now, if people are willing to just dial back some of the craziness, but at the moment it doesn't look like it. Nothing from Tucker Carlson, nothing from Candace Owens, and then on the left, nothing from Cenk Uygur. So this is the strange position we are in. People, there's a real moment here. There's a moment of clarity if you're willing to see it. Because it doesn't matter what side you're on this, right? What do I always say? Like, you can't put ideology over truth. Well, the truth is the war is ending. Both sides are going to get back something they wanted. Nobody's getting sort of everything they wanted, let's say. But if you can't be happy about this, then there's something fundamentally wrong with you and it should be exposed. Now, ironically, I did not mention Ilhan Omar's name there because she did tweet out something, although it was classic Ilhan Omar. For the sake of humanity, let's hope this will be a lasting and permanent ceasefire. While this is a hopeful step, we must demand accountability for every war crime committed during this genocide and continue to call for an end to the occupation. All right, you jihadist bitch, there was no genocide and there is no occupation because on October 6th, 2023, there were no Jews there. Also, if you're talking about an occupation, as you probably know but never would tweet out, Egypt controlled Gaza before 1967, blah, blah, blah. So what do we have to do right now? If enough of us are going to wake up, and if good people are going to be seeing things on both sides, and if we can just try to slog through what has, again, been an unbelievably intractable problem that has been fueled also by bots and caused such chaos domestically and all of these things, what we have to stop doing is excusing the endless violence. So one thing that the Gazans are going to have to stop doing is you just got to get over it. You're not going to be allowed to kill all the Jews. So this video came out. This is right after the peace deal was announced. This is in Gaza. And, well, they're still chanting, kill all the Jews. Yahud, Jew, kill all the Jews. Now, look, if you look at all those guys, and you can rewind it later or whatever, like they're all young, they're all healthy, nobody looks starving, they all look like they had braces, like everybody looks pretty good. Like the whole claim of genocide was crazy. But this is why I think you have to be sort of a world-weary optimist when it comes to this. Can you make peace with, will it be really peace with those guys who are still screaming, kill all the Jews, 2 years post-October 7th, post the destruction of Gaza and all of those things? Like, can you really make peace with them? Probably not. Could some power structure come to exist that can kind of control it a little bit, maybe over time, teach them something about coexistence? Maybe. So we have to, that's where the positivity comes in. Like, that's where the human spirit and showing people what freedom is all about possibly could do some healing, possibly. But we have to acknowledge that really still exists. There's not going to be any protests in Israel today where they're going, kill all the Gazans, kill all the Gazans. There just won't be. But the other thing from a Western perspective is now is the time. The war is wrapping up. Hostages will be out. The purported genocide will be over. Now is the time for us here in the West to say no more. No more to these crazy, psychotic jihad rallies that we are having where they are calling for genocide, where they are taking over streets, where they vandalize things, they burn things, they attack police officers and everything else. And where they actually tell you that they are part of Hamas, which is literally what happened 2 days ago in New York City on the actual second anniversary of October 7th.
We did not act enough. We did not act enough. Repeat after me. We did not act enough. We did not act enough. If we acted enough. The headline behind me would read. Gaza has been liberated. So our work is not done. We must show up. Stronger than we did the first October 7th. Louder than we did the first October 7th.
So louder than we did on the first October 7th. That's a guy saying he is part of Hamas. By the way, it turns out he was found out because the internet figures out who people are pretty quickly. Shocking he didn't wear the terrorist mask. He's a student at Harvard. Surprise, surprise. Can you believe it? Of course. And I've heard from some insiders that the FBI is looking into him right now. But just enough of that. No more tolerating this bullshit. What he was doing there was calling for genocide. What he was doing there was, and with the drones, the clones that are just repeating what he says. I mean, it's all so brain numbing and everything else, but everyone should step back right now. Like, I'll try to give you a little advice, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Bernie, you pathetic sellout who would have been killed if you had stepped into Gaza, but you have spent a career trying to sell out Israel. It's like, all of you, just take a moment right now. Is it so hard to just send out a tweet? You don't have to say anything nice about Israel. I think it's nice that this war is coming to a close. Hopefully things can be rebuilt, but you can't do that. And what that shows you actually is that most of these people didn't want peace. And they never really cared about the Gazans. What they wanted was the destruction of Israel, and they're just not going to get it. So for everyone else, and I think it is probably 80% of Americans, if not even more, those of us who want coexistence, who understand things can be a little tricky and it's like, we just have to expose these people right now. But if in a week from now, there's more of these rallies out there, everyone must be speaking out against it. Of course, the problem, and this now will get us to our next segment, the problem is that there are no good leaders on the left anymore. Like, congratulations to John Fetterman for congratulating Donald Trump, and good luck in your own party. But the Democrat Party has been so rotted out from the inside that there basically are only crazy people. So this will get us to the next story I wanted to cover, which is that there is a former California congresswoman by the name of Katie Porter, and she is running for governor in California. That's right, Gavin Newsom will not be perpetual governor of California forever. And she's a far left progressive and all the usual stuff. And there were two things that happened to her over the last couple of days that went mega viral. And it just shows you the sort of emotional maturity of these people and their sort of, what I always say with the progressives, it's the fake niceness, the fake tolerance, the thin veneer, and underneath is something very nasty. So here's Katie Porter being asked by a CBS reporter a couple of basic questions, and watch what happens.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition.
Mm-hmm. We've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't
our
care.
follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never had to do
reporter.
this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from...
It's kind of funny, like Gavin Newsom's going to step away and they could end up with someone like that. But again, it just gets to what's going on with the left. They are emotionally immature. They don't know what they think. The question was so simple. It was basically, will you reach out to Trump people? They live in your state. There's a huge amount of Trump supporters there because Cali is so huge. There are millions and millions of them. Like, can you offer anything? And the dismissiveness, and then to say, I'm not going to sit there, I'm ending this thing, I don't have to take follow-up questions, I'm running to be the leader. It's like, this is what you guys have left. But then this is the one that was really going viral of this lady. She's on a Zoom call, and then one of her staffers dared to go into the kitchen behind her. Take a look.
500,000 Californians dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems, and the state could lose. Get out of my shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Okay, I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money. Perfect.
Does that seem like the type of person that you would want being the chief executive of the biggest state in the country? Like, first off, the fact that the girl's wearing a mask there, and all she did was come in to explain to Katie Porter that she was getting something wrong. Get the fuck out of my shot. Like, yes, is it true that at the end of the day I hit one of my employees, and but it's on a complete rotation, and it's completely I just spin a wheel, so it's not like I'm not going to hit. The chances that I would hit one person 4 days in a row, although it did happen once, it's like pretty much not going to happen. Yes, you have to keep these people in line, of course, but it's just, you guys get it. Here's one. Wait, we got two more of her. I mean, this woman, it's just, how is this happening to California? Here she is saying that her 12-year-old is worried that she can't get an abortion.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights. The allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity. Their sexual orientation, their gender identity. So I think the fact that we're seeing this jump in expenses, that we're seeing people having to pay more in the grocery store, pay more at the pump, pay more for housing, is a reason that people are saying, I need to be able to make my own decisions about when and if to start a family.
Oh, God, I love how starting a family involves killing a baby for these people. Also, yes, your daughter got in the car and was crying that she got raped and she wouldn't be able to get an abortion. Like, it's just nonsense. And by the way, if you were concerned about your daughter being raped or whatever, you might want to be a little harder on crime and illegal immigration in California. She sort of looks like Mrs. Trunchbull from Matilda, doesn't she? That woman freaked me out. Somehow I saw that in the theater. What year did that come out? I think maybe I was a camp counselor or something. And it was a rainy day and we had to take the kids 96. To the 96. So I was 19. Yeah, I was a summer camp counselor, and it was a rainy day. We took the kids to see Matilda. It's pretty good. It still stands the test of time. All right, here's one more of Katie Porter. She was on Bill Maher a while back with Piers Morgan, and she went after Riley Gaines because Riley, you know Riley. She's a girl, and she was swimming and wanted to swim with girls, and then there was a guy with a wang who pretended he was a girl to use the penis as a propeller, beat her, and then she was a little annoyed about that, so she became outspoken when it came to guys with wangs beating girls in swimming.
You should be able to have a civil debate. Nobody, including Riley Gaines, who I disagree with strongly, should feel
What do you disagree with, out of interest?
I think that it should be up to sporting bodies to make the decisions about who and how should compete.
What has she said that's actually wrong?
I think that what she has done is try to turn this. We talked about people, using things to kind of get likes and get clicks.
That's not what she's doing.
It's not?
I've got no truck for Riley Gaines personally, but all I've seen her do is stand up for women's rights to fairness and equality.
Well,
she actually competed against Leah Thomas, and it was obviously unfair. Leah Thomas won one of the races in the NCAA championships by 50 seconds against a bunch of biological females who simply couldn't keep up. That cannot be right. It cannot be fair.
That is something that I think our sporting bodies should be dealing with. And by the way, Riley is speaking up for herself, and that is her prerogative, and I respect her free speech.
I think she's speaking up for pretty much every female athlete in the world.
Why, Katie Porter, can you not just step up for women? You have a 12-year-old daughter who's afraid she's going to be raped and not be able to get an abortion. Do you want her to be beaten in swimming too after having lived through all of that? Anyway, that story all feels a little bit small relative to the backdrop of the Middle East, but the point connecting those two things is that there's going to be a certain set of people that with everything happening in the Middle East, all the goodness out of the Middle East, are not going to stop. And that is because they put ideology over truth. And until we really reckon with that, a lot of the craziness is going to continue, whether it's I'm being genocided and I'm also calling for genocide, or I want boys to swim with girls, or the rest of the nonsense. Let's talk about Brooklyn betting for a moment, and then more on the other side. You've got to love a real American success story, and Brooklyn Bedding is exactly that. The company started with one man in Arizona building mattresses by hand, and today they're making some of the best mattresses in the country. When you sleep on a Brooklyn Bedding mattress, you can feel the difference right away. It's supportive, cool, and unbelievably comfortable. No more waking up sore, tossing and turning all night. Every mattress is handcrafted in the U.S. with premium materials, and you could even choose your ideal firmness level for a perfect fit. If you're ready to finally upgrade your sleep, visit brooklynbedding.com and use promo code Rubin for 30% off site-wide. That's brooklynbedding.com. Promo code Rubin, because better sleep starts with a better mattress. Okay, so I want to do one other story before we get to the Locals Community Q&A, and it's an extension of what we just did there with Katie Porter, because this is someone who is a leader of the progressive movement, who wants to be governor of California, and, I don't know, I guess you could say would either keep it as bad as it is or make it worse or whatever, but clearly doesn't have the emotional temperament to be in public office or anything else. And it shouldn't surprise us that this is what the political leadership of the Democrats is. When, like, it's not surprising at all. When I asked Joseph this morning, could you just quickly check and see if AOC and Ilhan and Rashida and Bernie and all them had tweeted? Like, I knew they hadn't. But credit where credit is due, even though Ilhan's statement was insane, she did tweet something, so I read it. But we shouldn't be surprised that they don't know how to say, oh my God, something good is happening, right? They've been screaming genocide and they don't know how to say, oh, the genocide is coming to an end, because then they'd have to credit Trump. They'd have to sort of acknowledge that actually they never believed there was a genocide in the first, like there's all the stuff. And where much of the confusion comes from is where young people are getting their news from these days. One of the places is Twitch, which is crazy. Twitch was designed basically to be a place where kids were coming to play video games together. And now people have become hugely famous and made major bank on being political there and all sorts of other stuff. So I've mentioned this guy, Hasan Piker, a couple times on the show. He is the nephew of Cenk Uygur at the Young Turks. And I used to work with him. He's really just a terrible person. He's in a lot of hot water right now. Yes, he calls for the death of, I think he called for the assassination of Rick Scott. He called for blood in the streets of Republicans and all these things. And he breaks the terms of service on Twitch all the time. And he makes about 200 grand a month on there from what people say. But now he's in hot water because it's one thing to call for the death of Republicans, but he's also been shocking his dog. He is using a shock collar on his dog on his live streams. And it's, you know, sure, you call for death of Republicans, but shocking a dog's a bit much.
Such a first world problem, but it is emblematic of all of America's much more consequential violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just go, just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby. It's just, you're making her stressed. She just literally is so incredibly spoiled from my mom.
All right, so you have a LARPing socialist. He is pro-jihad. He's 100% pro-Hamas. You know, I used to play basketball with him. It's not surprising that he is shocking the dog there. He used to have a different dog. It was a pit bull. And he would come when we were playing basketball and he would tie the dog up on a tree with about 2 foot, you know, 2 foot of rope to it. And the dog would go bananas and destroy the ground at the school that we were at. So everyone that's at Young Turks, you know I'm telling the truth because you know what school it was too. And he would destroy the ground. And in retrospect, I don't know why we didn't, I think I must have said something, but like, none of this surprises me. But here he is. He was also confronted by a guest about the tightness of the dog's collar.
And now it's mainstream. I love her. I think her collar's too tight.
Yeah, well, it's here we can.
It's you have to be able to get 2 fingers, and I couldn't even get one. I think you're choking her.
She's like, it's she has a lot of neck meat. It's just such a lib ass, like, oh, dude, please don't get a Frenchie. I just wrote a Vox article talking about how problematic they are. Like, I don't give a. I know they have breathing problems. I know they're incredibly inbred. I don't give a. I know. I don't care. Like, I don't give a. This is a dog.
Okay, so look, I don't care about this guy. He's a terrible human being, but your children, if you are watching this, might be watching him. And you might want to think about that when you see these broken brains, because whether it's abusing her dog or being pro-Hamas or calling for the death of a Republican senator, like this guy is massive on Twitch. But because I don't want to, before we get to the Q&A, I don't want to end with him. There are young people out there that are doing pretty freaking awesome things. And just as I said, we should all, at the top of the show, we should be aiming towards peace right now. Like, it doesn't mean you're going to get exactly that. What we should all be doing in our own lives is aim towards something good, aim towards building something great, whether that's a business or a family or a little bit of both or whatever it is that you want in your life. And then you can do amazing things. So this is just a great story. Listen to this from CoinDesk. Just in, Polymarket founder Shayne Coplan becomes the youngest self-made billionaire following a deal with the New York Stock Exchange's parent company. And here's a tweet from Shayne Coplan himself, who you can see, he's just a young kid, you know, he's in his 20s somewhere. The past 2 years have been surreal, going from a write-off to creating a category, watching our vision become a reality. The Polymarket origin story is funny because it's a rare case of the dream being identical to how things played out. If I learned one thing, it's that bold ideas are everywhere, hidden in plain sight. It just takes someone crazy enough to spend their life willing it into existence. That's entrepreneurship, willing things into existence. At the onset of the pandemic, I quite literally had nothing to lose. 21, running out of money, 2.5 years since I dropped out, nothing to show for it. But I knew we were entering an era where ways to find truth would matter more than ever, and Polymarket could play a critical role in that. After all, nothing is more valuable than the truth. It is still a work in progress, but we're honored to have made the impact we have thus far. Last but not least, I am deeply grateful for all of the support and hard work of my brilliant team. I'm getting to live my wildest dreams, seemingly against all odds. I don't take it for granted. The best is yet to come. And then I thought this was just great. Look at this tweet. This is just fantastic. This is from, look at him, 2020, running out of money, solo founder, HQ in my makeshift bathroom office. Little did I know Polymarket was going to change the world. I mean, he's literally, that is his bathroom. That is where he was doing work from. Absolutely broke. Aim at something and you might get it. When we moved to LA in 2013, we had about maybe $2,000 combined. I had about $10,000 worth of debt. I think we were making, when I started at the Young Turks, I think I was making $40,000 a year. You can do things. You can build a great production company, a great show. Then I saw a tech problem. I built Locals. Like, you can do it too. And that building something, going for something is so different than sitting there and abusing a dog and feeding all of the wrong ideas to young people while you become a millionaire. So just one more for you right now before the Q&A. Here's Pete Hegseth delivering, I would say, a spectacular message, post-game locker room to Navy after their win over Air Force.
You pounded through the game. When you needed a stop at the end, you got the big stop. When you needed a first down, you got the first down. That's going to be your life, not just in this game, but for the rest of your life when you're wearing a different kind of uniform. There's going to be shitty days. There's going to be tough days. There's going to be frustrations. You're going to have bad leaders. You're going to have good leaders, clear missions, and missions with no clarity at all. And what you do in those moments is what's going to be the difference between life and death for the men, for the Americans, for the sailors, for the SEALs, for the Marines that you lead in the future. You are their compass. They will look to you, just like you look to your quarterback or your linebackers or your O-line to say, hey, I'm on you, I'm on your back, we're going north. You did that today. I love the Air Force. They don't have it on you today.
That's right. And look at the way all of those young people were looking at him and listening. And there's just no doubt that almost all of them will go on to do great things, whether it's in business or with their families or those other things, because there's a certain reality to the world. And if you stop being bitter and angry and narcissistic and navel-gazing, you can do great things too. And that also is a perfect illustration of what I've been saying about Pete from day one. It wasn't just that he was qualified, it was that he could communicate it and look the part, and that's why they hate him so much. All right, let's talk about balance in nature, and then we'll get to a RubinReport.locals.com community Q&A. If you're taking Balance of Nature, the smartest way to stay consistent is by becoming a preferred customer. That means your supplements are delivered automatically every 28 days, no remembering to reorder, no running out, no hassle. And here's the best part. Preferred customers always get the lowest price we offer with free shipping every single month. Your order just shows up at your door right when you need it. On top of that, you'll even get your own personal health coach at no extra cost. That's one-on-one support to help you stay on track, celebrate your wins, and keep moving forward towards your goals. So if you're ready to save money, stay consistent, and make your health routine effortless, becoming a preferred customer is the way to go. Just visit balanceofnature.com and sign up with code Rubin. All right, community Q&A, here we go. Colorado says, what is stopping President Trump and the Republicans from declaring the Democrat leadership specifically as sponsors of terror at this point? Do you think they ought to? I don't. Look, is it true for sure that the Democrats coordinate with the NGOs and these other nonprofit groups to get the little LARPing jihadists out on the street? And did they do it during BLM? And do they work somehow with Antifa? And how do they all have the same placards? And why is it that every time they do a rally, it's thousands? You never see a small rally of like 12 people, because it isn't spontaneous. It is coordinated. And there absolutely is something there, and it should be looked at. Do we want a situation where the party in power looks at the other party, and even if they're up to a lot of nefarious stuff, and if they have all sorts of bad intentions, and as I said, why is it that Bernie and AOC and Schumer and everybody else, why haven't they tweeted today? Because they'd have to give Trump credit? Or is it because they actually never thought there was a genocide, and that's going to kind of be exposed? Or what their real goal was to destroy Israel, and that's not going to happen? Like, yeah, are they rotten to the core across the board? Yeah, but should we start jailing political opponents? Look, they're going after Comey and some other things, people who seemingly did very specific things like lying under oath and fabricating the Steele dossier, which led to Trump and Russia. Like, there are specific ones, but to just say, oh, this party or the leadership or whatever, that's probably a bridge too far. And again, you just always have to be leery of when you start doing some of these things, because of course one day you will not be in power and you don't want those things done to you. Elizabeth says, did Justin and Luke have fun birthdays? Happy birthday to them from Izzy and me. They had great birthdays. It was Luke's birthday this weekend, and we went down in Homestead down here in Florida. Homestead is our southern Florida. That's our farmland down here in southern Florida. You can go shooting down there. They've got farms and animals and a monkey jungle and all this stuff. We went down to this place, Berry Farm, which is just fantastic. They've got cows and animals. I mean, it's a fully functioning farm, but they've got great barbecue and food. And we went into the cornfield and we got corn, and then we were able to feed the cows, and we were driving on the tractor, and they've got all sorts of jungle gyms, and you could jump in a thing of corn, just like the corn kernels, and jump around in that and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, we had a great day. We all ate way too much ice cream, I would say, particularly me. Tony says, Democrats in California only registered 190 new voters in 8 months, while Republicans registered 48,000. I know we both fled Cali for Florida, but those numbers are shocking in a good way. Any thoughts? Yeah, I mean, 40,000, unfortunately, in California is just like the tiniest drop in the bucket. I would say Cali is sort of the way I feel about New York at this point. I just don't see much hope. There are good people in both places. There will be pockets that are a little bit better and all of those things. But Cali particularly, it has just gone so the wrong way for so long. We cut a segment. We were actually going to do an extra segment on the show today about some of the fallout from the California fires. Maybe we'll get to it last week. But even the reconstruction there, it's going so poorly. They're so overregulated. If you're more interested in that, Adam Carolla is doing a ton on it, because I think he lost his Malibu house. Yeah, so 40,000 people, and the Democrats only got a couple. I don't see much changing, unfortunately. Noble Gold, and then a couple more questions. Gold has officially gone mainstream. You're seeing it everywhere, and prices just keep climbing. Every day, more and more Americans are discovering the power of gold. But how do you actually take advantage of it? How do you invest in a way that's safe, simple, and built for the long run? That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. Their specialists are trained to help advisors like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. Whether you're looking to roll over an old 401k into a gold IRA, or you want physical coins and bars delivered right to your home, Noble Gold makes the process simple, secure, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and U.S.-based service from a trusted team that's handled over $2.5 billion in precious metal transactions. With Noble Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it's their commitment. Visit DaveRubinGold.com today to claim your free wealth protection kit. That's DaveRubinGold.com. Noble Gold, helping you build a stronger future. Nimbus says, do you plan on shaving the beard after Pete Hegseth's announcement? So I don't know that the announcement said specifically that they can't have beards, right? But there's a certain conduct code. This is like George Steinbrenner and the Yankees fighting with Don Mattingly over the sideburns in 1992 or something. I don't know that you're not allowed to have beards at all. We can confirm that. But no, the beard, as I keep saying, I'm more beard than man at this point. It has taken over. It's like what's his name? Venom. And then the guy, the symbiote, it's on me. I just look better with the beard. God, I was fat. Why didn't people tell me? that's about 2000. That was right when we moved into the new studios. That's 2016. So that's 9 years ago. Yeah. Carnivore diet and a beard, man. That's what you got to do. And a little sundown. Why was I so pale? What kind of lighting were we using? That was before you. I don't blame you. Laura Manchuk says, how are the queers for Palestine going to cope with Orange Hitler giving them what they want? They can't celebrate this without giving Trump praise, and I think that will break their brains more than it is now. Well, that's part of the genius of Trump. So many people take positions on things just because they hate Trump that then when he does good, they don't know what to do. And then that's why they're so hysterical in essence. But I would say, look, if this will be the great test, right? Like, they're not going to give him credit, obviously, and it's why AOC can't tweet about this or any of those things. But, let's give it 6 months. Israel will have withdrawn further. There'll be some reconstruction, hostages out, things will be calm. There won't be rockets going in and out and all that stuff. And then why don't we, I'm willing to do it. I will throw in $20,000, let's say, to get a bunch of the queer, and you got to have real nails and you got to have the crazy hair, all the stuff, but the queers for Palestine, let's send them over there and see, with the new leadership that's going to be less extreme, let's see how the average person in Gaza treats you. And we all know the answer to that. So, yeah. Sally says, if you could be governor of Florida for one day, what would you do? Ooh, that's a good one. Well, look, the main, scary. The main thing that our current governor is working on before he wraps up his second term, obviously DeSantis, is that he's trying to get rid of property taxes for people that have a homestead. I mentioned the town of Homestead in Florida earlier, but a homestead, we have something called homesteading here in Florida, which is your personal home gets certain tax benefits, and if you were ever in a lawsuit and they were coming for your assets, they can't come for your home. There's certain protections around that, but what he wants to do is make sure that if you have a homestead in Florida, your primary residence, that you will not pay property taxes, because as the market has gone up so much here because of the success of Florida, property taxes have increased because property values have increased, and then that pushes certain people out. OG Floridians who've been here for a long time, all the properties around them are going up, so their property taxes are going up. It's not fair, and even putting that aside, if you buy a house outright, why are you paying taxes on that house every year? There are all sorts of, we all pay sales tax, we don't have state income tax here, but there are all sorts of other taxes that you're paying, and because we have such good tourism here, we don't overspend here and all of these things. He's worked it out. He's pushing this through the legislature that we can maybe we'd increase a little bit of sales tax for all the people that enjoy all the beauty and wonder and success and safety of Florida that come on vacation here. Maybe they'll pay a little bit more to be part of this wonderful place, and the actual Floridians will pay a little bit less. So I would be all for doing that if DeSantis isn't able to get it through, but I think he would. You know what, beyond that, maybe this will sound cliche, but if I ever, and I have been asked if I ever was to run for governor of Florida or anything else. I think what I would do is I would just have DeSantis on speed dial. And every time there was a real problem, I would say, hey, Gov, can you give me a little advice here? Like, what do we do? How do I follow in your footsteps? I just don't know a public leader across the board who has been more of a man of his word, who has accomplished more, who has righted a ship that could have gone the other way. Let's not forget that when DeSantis came in the first time, not only did he only win by, I think, like 1.5 points, the guy, the Democrat that he almost lost to, turned out to be a meth addict. Like, that's how close Florida was to the precipice after everything that was going on with COVID and everything else. So pretty nuts. I thought an interesting way to end the show today would be, in light of what's happened here with the, let's say, dawn of Middle East peace, or at least, let's say, less killing. Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And this video was going around that it's really to honor Charlie. And the point more than anything else is be your best self, be brave. That's what we all could do right now. I really believe it, guys. There is a unique opportunity right this moment that all of us, even for the fighting on the right, like, we could put it aside right now and be like, Trump's pretty good, America's pretty good, the Middle East thing's gonna wrap up, let's stop with all the bickering and all of those things. And that's so much of what Charlie represented. So we will end with Charlie, post-game show right after, RubinReport.locals.com.
What advice do you have for me as I move into adulthood in order to become a more informed and involved citizen?
Well, first of all, thank you for being here, and I have hope thanks to people like you. How old are you again?
13.
13. Here's a couple things I want to encourage you to do. Learn something new every single day, and focus on what it means to be a good person and a person of strong character. Aristotle said that courage is the ultimate virtue. Without it, there are no other virtues. If people aren't courageous, you don't have honesty, you don't have justice, you don't have beauty, you don't have wonder. And so at age 13, I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out. Courage is committing yourself to the correct course of action, regardless of the cost associated to it.